from 1 to 100. This is a podcast where we talk about building your YouTube community from 1, that's you, to 100 so that you can make a living doing what you love. On the show, we talk about how to build a business as a YouTube creator and the passion economy. I'm your host, Heather Ramirez, and this is episode 7 of From 1 to 100. Yeah. So when I do that intro, I have to look at my notes because I don't have that memorized yet. But my goal is to eventually record an intro so that you don't have to watch me read it off. Anyway, super excited for this episode, everybody. I think a lot of you know who my guest is, and I'm very excited to have him on. I think that he is not only an awesome example of the passion economy and being able to create supplemental income through YouTube and being a content creator and creating content about something that we love. He's doing it in a way that is like supercharging a community of like-minded people. And I think one of the biggest things that people struggle with when it comes to starting a YouTube channel and growing YouTube channel is, what is my focus? What is my niche? Like I want to make content about everything and I don't know how to like focus. Dan, who you'll see, is like super focused on one thing, has a large community, relatively large community, but is able to keep that very accessible, personal vibe on the channel. And that's what I really want to dig into with him. So without further ado, everybody give a huge warm welcome to Dan C. Bearded. Yay!
Wow. Hey. Thank you, Heather. What an intro. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So, Dan, for anybody who doesn't know, can you please introduce yourself? What's your channel? And tell us about you and YouTube.
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Dan C. Bearded, government name Daniel Command. I have a YouTube channel. I also use other platforms to kind of funnel everything to YouTube, including my Instagram. And then I have a Facebook account, plus a private Facebook group all about beard stuff. And I am a middle school history teacher. I am now formerly, kind of crazy to say, formerly a coach. I've coached for the last 13 years, swimming and water polo, but now I've removed myself from all those seasons to focus on content creation outside of school. I live in Michigan. I'm in the Flint area. I have a beautiful wife, Sam, who's a big part of my channel that I'm sure we'll talk about. And I have 3 amazing kids, Maddox, Jax, and Violet.
That is awesome. So, man, I have a whole list of questions that I want to ask you. I want to be able to tackle through it all, but of course there is a reason why I do this live, and it's to be able to invite anyone who is tuning live to be able to answer or ask their questions as well. So if you guys are tuning into the chat, make sure to help me help you get your question answered by formatting your question with a Q : in the front of it, and then that way I can search for it. So let me jump into this. Where are we going to start? So first of all, tell me about like why YouTube. Was YouTube something you always wanted to do? When was the moment when you were like, you know what, I'm going to start a YouTube channel and I'm going to start a YouTube channel about beards? Was that like, did you just know, or, what was that story?
So I actually know the very specific moment when that happened. I had been into like taking care of my beard. If I do something, I do it all out. There's a lot of things I don't do because I'm not good at them or I don't enjoy them. But if there is something I do enjoy, I'm 100 miles per hour. And my beard was one of them. So I actually built up like a kind of a reputation on a Reddit subforum, Beards. And so I would post about like my trimming, my style, products. And I started to get kind of active in watching YouTube videos. And one day I was sitting at the kitchen table, and this is almost exactly 3 years ago now. And my wife came up to me. She was like rubbing my shoulders. And she said, it was during the summer vacation. And she said, I think you'd be really good at this. When I was watching a YouTube video on beard, she said, why don't you create your own channel? And that was all I needed to hear. I never had any goals of making a channel. I never dreamed of being a YouTuber or anything like that. But just hearing my wife say, I think you'd be good at this. I'm somebody that likes to do well at things. I was like, oh, okay. And so we just used the equipment we had and started filming at my kitchen table. We had a sliding glass door that I tacked up some sheets. We had a 10-foot tall ceiling or whatever, raised ceilings, hardwood floors. The sound was awful. The lighting was worse. And I just started because I liked beards, and she said that she thought I'd be good at it.
I love that story. I love that story. So, how long do you think it was from like her saying that to first video?
24 hours. It was the next afternoon. Yeah,
So you didn't
it
like
was
plan
literally the
anything.
next afternoon. Yeah, I
Yeah.
made
So there.
my intro video. I kind of slept on it and came up with my strategy and plan. As I
I
said, I'm
love
a
this.
coach. I'm an athlete.
Yeah.
So I had to come up with like essentially, and a teacher. So I came up with like a lesson plan. And I don't wait for things, right? If I want something, I go get it right away. I'm terrible to shop for like Christmas and my birthdays. Because if
Cause
there's
yeah,
something
you
I
get it
want, I just
already.
go get it.
Yeah.
And that was how it was with the channel. Yeah, it was literally, I think it was to the dot about 24 hours later.
That's so funny. So so because you didn't wait on it, which is awesome. What expectations did you have? Like, what were you thinking? You know, where did you see yourself like a year, 2 years from that
Yeah,
moment? Yeah.
yeah, great question. So I kind of like analyzed. I'd been watching videos for a long time, literally years, and I saw that there was a big potential. There's a company named Beard Brand, and they became like the most prominent US company because they had a YouTube channel that informed people about beards, and they had over 1 million subscribers. If I was like, man, if this beard channel has 1 million, the market's there. It's not the biggest, of course, it's not technology, but it's there. And then there were some other YouTubers out there on beards, but I knew that I had a unique angle. Kind of all the channels at the time were kind of like bro channels, I would say. They would burp, they would swear, they'd talk about
Mm,
chicks. And my strategy was I'm going to be myself. I'm a teacher, I'm a family man. And literally within that 24 hours, I said, I'm going to make a channel that's going to be based on education. I'm not going to be here for some crazy edits and some wild entertainment value and comedy. I'm going to make it like it's lessons. And then a huge part of my channel that did not exist before this was I was going to bring my wife into the channel. And I wanted to do this because a big part of the channel is how your beard looks, how it smells. We have different products that are kind of like colognes to make it smell nice. And I'm married to her. I sleep next to her every night. We are on the couch in the evenings. So what I wear is a big part of what she likes. So I brought her in from the very beginning and wanted to bring a female perspective. Like, hey, smell this. What do you think? And she was able to be very honest, very blunt and brutal. She said some of them smelled like vomit, others smelled like a funeral home or old men. And so she was able to give a perspective that I couldn't really give or say. And so from the beginning, I did have big goals. I was never somebody that was going to be like falsely humble and give any of that false humility and say like, I can't believe I got to 1,000. I never thought I'd get to 1,000. No, my goal from the beginning was to surpass 1 million, and it still is. And I want to be the first bearded individual content creator to 1 million subscribers. And so that
oh
was my
my god,
goal,
I
and still
love
working
that.
on it.
Yeah, yeah. Tom's gonna be happy to hear that. I'm sure he's gonna love that goal. Um, so okay, so you've heard this show before. This show is not only about, getting the origin story behind YouTube creators that I really admire, but also making a living as a YouTube creator. I think that's such a big part of it, with, content creation being the fastest growing type of small business. And
Yeah.
this whole world is weird because it's relatively new, it's constantly evolving, it's totally different for everybody. So what I really want to dive into next is your streams of income. You're at 45,000 almost subscribers on your YouTube channel. What does your monetization look like?
Yeah, so this is something that I talk very openly about. I have like a content creator advice video on my channel. I actually go around and I've spoken at different schools and businesses and all sorts of things. I love talking about it. I do really well as far as income, but it's not from just YouTube. It's not from just
Mm-hmm.
affiliates, right? I get ad revenue, but it's not the most. I get super chats, but it's not the most. I have affiliates with companies. So when somebody uses my link or my code, I get a kickback commission on the sale. But outside of that, I've found some really kind of I would consider random streams of income. They were never planned on. They were never sought after. They just kind of opportunities came up, and I always leave the door open. We have an Etsy shop. My wife runs it, and that actually all goes to her. It's kind of her passion project. She makes like shirts, and we have a heat press and a vinyl machine and everything. So she has over 1,200 sales in the last like year and a half, which is really cool. A huge part of my income that came from YouTube is consulting companies. I consult companies that are upwards of $15 million a year in revenue of beard products, all the way down to brand new companies that haven't even gotten their LLC yet and are in the planning stages. And that has been amazing. It's been pretty much an open box for me. Is I can bring in as much business as I can handle as time will allow. And with coaching, I just finished the varsity water polo season. My time was so limited. Now that that's done, I've been able to really bring in more clients, more companies, and that's been huge. It was not something I planned on. Essentially, companies came to me. One is a crazy story that I've told from time to time where I essentially got sued. A company sued me for a negative review. It ended up in my favor. And then in the end of it, they offered me to be a consultant for them and redo their entire beard lineup. And so
Wow.
I got the email this last week. We have 2 items that will be in every Rite Aid in the country. And I completely designed it from the ingredients to the labels, the packaging. So just things like that came out of nowhere. I do have some speaking engagements that were very popular before COVID. Those slowed down quite a bit once COVID hit. So I'm hoping in the fall those will pick back up again. But yeah, there's just so many random streams of income that people don't think of. They think of YouTube and they think, oh, you must get all this money from your ads and stuff. Not really. I mean, there is stuff, yes, of course, but most of my streams of income are outside of the traditional realm. And like I said, literally were not planned. This was nothing that I went out and was like, you know what? I'm going to become a consultant. It
Right.
just kind of happened over time and proving myself and building a reputation.
Yeah. So that's you guys. If you guys are all taking notes, that's something to take notes about. So I love that because there's all that content out there about like how to monetize your channel and all the common ways that, I mean, sponsorships and affiliates are the, and of course YouTube ads are the 3 most common, not because they are the most successful, but it's the one that's most talked about, right?
Right.
These are the popular ways to make money. But what Dan is an awesome example of is the passion economy, right? Like you can monetize through streams of income that relate to your passion, right? Beards. Those are the things that are bringing in the most, a majority of your income. And it's around the thing that you are passionate about, right? And
Yep.
also, when you create a channel and you're creating content and putting yourself out there, you open the doors to who knows what, right? It's like you said, you couldn't have planned this. It's not like, okay, let's put together the business plan and like, here's, I want to do 10K a month and we're going to like, here's where all the money's going to come from. It's just kind of like, you just did it. And if you build it, they will come, basically.
Yeah. So very true. And like I said, they just came up and I love doing them. Yesterday, I had 3 different consultation video calls. And when I got done, I was telling my wife, after one of them, I literally had goosebumps. I was like, chills. I was like, I love doing this. I have like a weird conundrum. I hate scheduling things. I don't know if it's because I'm a teacher and my whole life is scheduled. I hate seeing things on my calendar. Like it drives me crazy. I'm like, oh, I got this, and this. But when I'm doing it, I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this so much. I just want to do more and more and more. And it's a passion. It's absolutely crazy and just mind blowing. I'm flying out in August to work with a company. In the past year, I was flown out to Colorado. I was flown out to Las Vegas. I was flown out to Texas. And it's just the people you meet, the opportunities that come out. It's so random and just so amazing. Like I said, I literally had goosebumps yesterday after a video conference.
And the thing that is so cool and why I will never stop geeking over YouTube is the fact that this is not what you went to school for. You had no previous training in being a YouTuber. Like you actually didn't even have a plan. Literally, It was an idea that was like 24 hours ago. Boom. And now it's like such a big part of your life. And you are a father of 3, a husband. You've got a full-time job, and you still manage to find the balance between all of it. So it's not something that's like completely taking over.
Right. And kind of a side story. And then I think the time thing is an important topic, but side story. So, not going to school for this. So, I went to the University of Michigan for my undergrad, go blue. And so, I got my teaching degree, started teaching. Well, I was kind of a freak and wanted, like I said, when I do something, I do it right. After I graduated, right away, I went back for my master's, and I actually got two masters within 5 years. My first one was administration. I thought I wanted to be a principal, and then I started to do the job and shadow and really get into it. And I figured out that you just deal with the worst of the worst. You deal with the bad kids that are in trouble, the angry parents, just situations you don't want to be in. So I was like, that's maybe not for me. So I went back and got my second master's degree, and that was in curriculum development, kind of deciding what schools teach, how they teach it, picking textbooks, all that type of stuff. And I got really serious about that because I thought my like umbrella of influence was going to be really big. I'm not only influencing one classroom, I'm influencing a school, an entire district. And I interviewed with a large school district, and I actually got offered the job. And this was before the channel. It was the summer of the channel being created. And I had a really big decision to make. So it was a big increase in money. To be fully transparent, it was $98,000 a year, but it was only a 2-year contract. And so I told my dad about this, and I was like, I don't know if I want to take this or not, being that it's a 2-year contract. And my dad was like, if you don't take that, I don't want you to speak to me for several weeks. And because he grew up a hardworking guy. I was the first person in my family to ever get a college credit, and I'm offered this big job. But something with me was just like, I don't know. I actually like broke out on my legs, and I don't stress in my entire life. I'm a super laid back, casual guy. I went to the doctor, the dermatologist, and I was like, I don't know what's going on here. And they were like, whoa, you have a stress rash. And I broke out because of
Oh.
stress. I turned down the job that I went to school for, that I got a master's degree in. And then a couple months later, created this channel that, like you said, did not go to school for, did not plan for, did not train for, did not do anything for, and completely changed my life. And it's unbelievable to think about if I would have taken that curriculum director job and went with what I went to school for, with what everybody was telling me to go for, man, my life would be very different. And I don't think in any way as enjoyable. So it's just kind of, when you said that about how this was not planned, this was not what I went to school for, it's the opposite. It's a very different road, and I'm so
How
happy with how it
crazy.
ended up.
Yeah, and I'm sure all of that was not for waste. I'm sure a lot of the things
Right.
that you studied and over your career, this is why I think your channel is so successful, is because it's because of all your experience and your background that you're able to translate in ways that like no, YouTuber tip video is going to is going to tell you, right? So to your channel, there are two things about it that I think are really cool. One is, I the reason why the show is called From 1 to 100 is because I try to shift the focus to depth over volume of a community, right? So it's not,
Yep.
you don't, getting a million subscribers on YouTube, totally awesome. A goal I think that, all of us would be very proud to achieve, but not necessary to make a living doing what you love, to create content about your passion, to bring people together, all of that. So with your channel, you kind of have a hybrid of both, because I would say 45,000, that's a lot. That's a lot of people, right? But you're
For
still
sure.
able to maintain that tight knit vibe. How? How did you I know a lot of it was organic, but like how would you say if someone is like, I want to build a tight knit community, a community where people feel accepted, there's the shared enthusiasm, you've got live shows, there's participation, there's interaction, like what how would you, like, what are your tips around that?
Yeah, so I genuinely never consider myself the smartest person in the room, even in my own classroom. And I teach middle school. I've had some brilliant students. I had a student that just was on Jeopardy, and they're fantastic. So no matter where I am, I never consider myself the smartest. Part of that is I have two younger sisters. One went to Cornell Law, the other one went to U of M medical school. So I'm like literally never the smartest person in the room. But one thing that I do think that I have great perspective on is people and communication. And I think that's what made me a successful coach and teacher, is that I really enjoy learning about people. I really enjoy learning about perspective and bringing different points of view and connecting people. And if you were to ask my wife what I watch on TV, if I have any spare time, which I don't have much, I watch random documentaries. I watch random bits of people's lives and vlogging just because I genuinely love to learn about people. I think it's so fascinating. And I kind of treated the channel like it's a classroom, like it's a sports team, and bringing everybody together. And that's what makes a successful team. That's what makes a great classroom, is when you have an environment of trust, when you have an environment of support. And I wanted to bring that to the channel, and in a weird live stream, text on a screen kind of way, I think I've done that, and it's made it a really unique place.
Yeah. Uh, so the other part of this is the YouTube part, right? You started your channel like no prep. You just went for it. Looking back,
Yep.
what would you say are the, regardless of your genre, your goals with YouTube, what are kind of the things that are like every YouTube creator should know this, should be doing this? Like this is just kind of part of the territory when it comes to success on YouTube.
Yeah, so the two things that stand out to me, and I didn't even, this is not like a pre-planned question. I didn't even know this was coming, but these two mean a lot to me. One is content is king. Everybody freaks out about their mic, about their camera, about upgrading, about their setup, about doing this or that. I think that's cool. I think it can add to the experience. It can make it seem more legit. But regardless of all of that, content is king. If you make good content, people will want to learn. Even if you sound like you're in a tin can, even if you look like the sun is shining on you and they can't even see your skin, content is king. So just focus on the content and then have natural growth as you go. I have some areas that I know are not the best, but it's nothing related to content. And I know I will get there eventually. So I don't really
Mm-hmm.
stress on those. And then the second thing is consistency. In 3 years, I have never once missed a live stream that's been scheduled. I have
Mm.
never once missed a video that's been scheduled. I do 3 videos a week: Wednesday, Friday, Sunday at 8 a.m. Eastern. I've never missed. Live streams Monday and Wednesday at 9 p.m. I've never missed. And that's been through the birth of a child, that's been through vacations, campings, sickness, financial ups and downs, moving. I mean, it's consistency is so unbelievably important. And for me, it's just a lifestyle. My whole family, we've adjusted
Mm.
our life based on those videos. Like when we go camping, we don't go camping on Mondays because Monday live stream's a big deal for me. And that consistency is just, it's not even an option. It's just what has to happen. And I think that really makes a difference when people take time off, when people miss a live stream, say, hey, we'll be back next week. I understand life happens, but I do think there's a little hit there. There's some people that are let down that expected that rely on that. So for me, the two biggest things are content is king and consistency.
I love that. So I'm going to take a break from asking questions and turn it over to the questions that are in here. Really quick, Melanie says, how do you deal with boxing yourself into a niche and possibly regretting it later?
So for me, I know what you're talking about, right? I consult companies, beard companies specifically, and one of the biggest questions is, should I be X beard company or should I be X grooming? Because I don't want to box myself into a beard
Mm,
company. And so with a company, it's a little bit different. For me, beards is really all I care about.
yeah.
I don't really care about men's grooming. I'm not a fashionable human. I'm not going to make videos about belts and shoes and hairstyles. Me and my wife cut my hair. Like it's not something that's important to me. So for me, and this is kind of I think what your whole thing is about, is I'm very very passionate about beards. I don't worry about being too small, about being too niche, because I have like so the way I organize myself is through notes on my phone, as I'm sure most people do nowadays. I have more video ideas than I could cover with my, let me see if I can find this, when I can cover in the next probably 2 years with the amount of videos that I do on a weekly basis, just because of how
Oh,
many
wow.
videos I really, really want to do. And
And
so
where do you get these ideas? Are these your ideas? Are these questions from the community? Both? Where do you get your sources of inspiration?
everything, everything. So one benefit of having weekly live streams, one benefit of
Yeah.
having a private Facebook group, one benefit of responding to every single message I've ever received, whether it's on email, Instagram, Facebook. I respond to everybody. Is oftentimes those questions that I get asked, those topics, those messages, I have the ability to turn them into a video. And
That's your
it's
curriculum experience right there.
100%. I think
Mm-hmm.
everybody gets the same questions. Everybody sees the same content. But I think that I do have a unique ability to say, I can relate this into a video idea. And then I just kind of put them down in priority of that time, of that season, and I make them into videos. It's constant. I'll literally be in the middle of live streams. My Wednesday live stream is with my best friend. We call him the mayor. And I'll be like, hey, mayor, take this. And I'll seriously, while he's talking to everybody, I'm jotting down in my phone. I'm like, that's good. Like, that's a good video.
I love
And so I
that.
put in there my video ideas, and then I just cover them. And or sometimes I'll wake up and I'll be styling my beard. I'm like, I bet other people can relate to this, or maybe this could help somebody, and I write it down.
Yeah. Desert Cornhole says, can you explain your relationship with product companies and do you think it hurts your channel at all? I feel like you have a much closer relationship with them than most would admit.
Okay. So can you explain the relationship with product companies? So I have varying relationships with product companies. Like I said, some of them I'm consulting and I've helped build since the very first month of their inception to now they are multi-million dollar revenue companies. Others I just have a good working relationship with and we support each other. I definitely can see where aspects where people could take that and inflate it and put negative intentions with there's that's part of the internet, that's part of YouTube.
Right.
People
Yeah.
love to assume negative intentions. They love to put their worries, their insecurities on others. And
That
for
and
me,
also like I think that we have seen examples of people taking advantage, so I think that there are people who have come before us who haven't made us look good.
for sure. There's
Yeah.
no doubt about it. But for me, I always believe in my positive intentions. I believe that the truth comes out. I believe that I lead by example. I'm big. My boy, healthy bearded Jay Cruz is in here. We talk on a daily basis, and I probably say to him every other day, dude, don't tell him, show him. Because he's like, should I post this? Should I do this? No, no, no. Don't tell him, show him. And so for me, I don't sit there and talk about how I have this integrity or I have this, I'm honest. You'll
Yeah.
never see me post honest reviews. You'll never see me post, I'm an honest channel. I'd rather show you
You
that
just
it's
do it.
honest.
Yeah.
And a big thing with me is people like to bring up bias, right? You're biased because you have affiliates. You're biased because you work with these companies. And my rebuttal to that is, and not in like a cocky way, but in the beard game, I can work with essentially any and every company. From Beard Brand, who is the biggest, they've worked with me, all these companies. I'm not picking companies because I make money off them. I'm
Right.
picking them because I love them and there's a symbiotic relationship. And as a result, there is some money to be made. But it's not, there's this thing where it's like, oh, you're picking, no, I could go with anybody. I'm choosing them because I believe they are the best. And a huge thing is I've really worked hard over 3 years to build this platform, to build my community. I'm not going to give it up to make a couple of sales.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lose my respect and my reputation. And a huge thing, it's the lock screen on my phone right now, is I'm not going to trip over dollars to make pennies. Like those
Mm-hmm.
commission sales, that's not driving anything that I do. And people see that because if I do recommend, I say, hey, Heather, try out this hair tonic. It's amazing, but please use my code. And then you try it and it makes your hair fall out.
Yeah.
You're done watching my channel. You're done buying any products that I recommend. That longevity is so much more important to me than that short-term sale. And I don't feel any need to hide my relationship with companies, my working with them. I just believe in being transparent and putting it out there.
Yeah. And I think that companies and even the culture of YouTube, from viewers and commenters, they're seeing, influencers, creators when there is a successful partnership, right? Where it isn't like I pay you to create content about whatever
Right.
for whatever reason. It's not so much about the transaction piece, it's the partnership piece. Because, like you said, now you're a consultant. Now you're able to give feedback and make their products better,
Yep.
which your viewers are going to benefit from. So that's awesome. Um, Here's another question. Let's see.
And great question, guys. I love these.
What is your favorite part of content creating compared to teaching in the classroom?
Ooh, oh man. Um, I get paid more to do this. I mean, to be honest, teaching pay in Michigan is awful. It's utterly atrocious. My first 5 years, we were frozen on our salaries, so I didn't get any increase in
Oh,
payment
wow.
when inflation was going up. So that aspect is nice. Teaching, you can't make more. I am limited out on teaching income because of my education. You can get paid more the more you're educated, but I've maxed that out. So with this, it's like an open bottle. I can have
Mm-hmm.
more opportunities. I can get more things, which is great. But other than that, it's extremely similar. So this was hard for me. I actually had like a really deep talk with my wife. I'm a very introspective person. I really analyze myself. I really dig deep. I don't know why. I just have always kind of been like that. And when I left coaching, a big part of coaching was kind of the like, I call it the let's go aspect of me, where I'm coaching 17, 18-year-old boys, men, and I get to get fired up, give them some bro daps, like, yeah, buddy, like great goal, get fist bumps. And now when coaching's gone, I have young kids. I have a daughter. I have a wife. I don't have that much of an outlet to be able to do those kind of things. And I was like, where am I going to get that piece of me? Where is that going to be in my life? With teaching, with live streaming, with videos, that positive feedback that you get, the
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
affirmation that comes with it, it's so amazing. And I think it's very similar in the classroom as the same with the channel, right? I'll get parents that'll say, wow, you were the best social studies teacher my kid has ever had. You changed their life. You see the same things on the channel, and it's just awesome. So in that regards, it's very similar. I enjoy both of those, but there's more opportunities with this, just to be honest.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, there's a this is why I started the YouTube Huddle Up and this show too. It's a little bit of a selfish reason because I get pumped after doing these. It's like, kind of renewing that
Yeah.
sense of why I started this in the first place. So, and then Beards and Vinyl says, do you ever feel pressured to give a positive review of a company who is paying you for that review?
Never, ever, ever. As I said, I've been sued and actually went to court. I've been threatened to be sued 3 other times. And one of the beautiful things, I think this is a huge misconception, is so in any community, you have guys and girls just starting out with lower numbers, right? You don't want to say like lower leveling, lower numbers.
Yeah.
And then you have people that are more accomplished on the number side. And in the beard niche, again, just to be transparent, I'm one of the bigger channels as far as number goes.
Mm-hmm.
So I do have a fee to review anything that's on my channel. There's a fee. And so people would say, do you feel that you have pressure? Do you feel that there's bias there because you're receiving money? I literally believe it's the opposite. I have absolutely no worries. If I give a negative review and that company doesn't like me, it's not going to impact me. It's not going to hurt my channel. I don't really care, right? That they came to me for a review. Now, if you're just starting out, you have that kind of honeymoon period. I went through it. Everyone went through it. And when a company reaches out, you're like, oh my gosh, they want to send me free stuff.
Yeah.
This is amazing. This company owner's talking to me. I only have 300 subscribers. This is so
Yeah.
cool. And at that point, you feel terrible pressure to give a good review. No matter what the product is like, that bias is real on you. And some people get through it. Some people stay honest. This is not painting a broad brush here. They're amazing people. But many people succumb to that pressure. But once you're established, it's kind of like a weight lifted off your shoulder. I don't have to worry about that. I'm not here to impress them. I've never
Mm-hmm.
once approached a company. I've never asked them for a product. I've never asked them for a payment. Companies approach me and I let them know my requirements, and if you want to proceed, let's do it. But going through being sued, going through all of those experiences, knowing exactly what I can say, what I can't say, I have absolutely no pressure, no worries. And my track record proves it. Unfortunately, they're not fun to do, but just within the last 3 or 4 months, I've probably had 4 product reviews that I always end the review with, do I recommend them or not? I've had, I think, 4 of them where I did not recommend the product, and those were all paid for. The same amount with the videos where I do recommend them. So nothing changes with that.
Yeah. And I think, like, you mentioned this, you have requirements, you are very transparent at the forefront.
Yep.
There is a fee, but you lay everything there, and I'm sure you make it very clear to them that I'm going to give the review that I feel is accurate based on my
Yes.
experience. Yeah. And I think the other part of this from the viewer's end is that they don't see how many people you say no to. Like, I'm sure you
Right.
get, bombarded, especially now, with a bunch of requests. And, I'm sure it's at the point where there's just literally no time to say yes to everything.
And that's a big thing people don't understand with the fee is part of it is being compensated for what you earn. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that, right? When
Yeah.
people, again, I'm not big on false humility. That drives me crazy when people try to play the game. I think it's okay. If you've earned it, you should be compensated for it, right? I love teaching, but I would never teach for free, right? I earned that. I love doing this, but now I'm at the point where the fee is literally a filter. As you said, when this live stream ends, I will probably have 2 to 3 new messages from companies saying, "Hey, we'd love to be on your channel. We'd love you to cover our products." The fee is a great filter to see who's actually serious and who really wants to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it would be impossible. How would you pick if you're receiving 10 emails a day of products? That fee just kind of filters it. And then from there, like you said, there are some that I've turned down. Usually it's because I'm a family friendly channel. When I started out, I wanted a channel where my principal could come watch, my students could come watch, my mom could come watch, which my mom is in almost every live stream. She's probably watching right now. Hey, mom.
Aw.
And so I make it sure that it's family friendly. So I have companies that approach and they have pictures of women that are used as their advertisement. They have words that are depicting drugs. They have swear words that I don't cover on my channel. I tell them it doesn't fit my image, and I politely decline because of that. So that stuff happens all the time.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I love that. And I think like what's really cool about you is that you understand that this is a business, right? Like this is a business that can support you and your passion for years to come.
Yep.
And so, you would never do anything to compromise
Yes.
that. And it takes, I mean, it can really, I mean, you've built a foundation where now your reputation, precedes you, but it is like every decision can really make an impact on,
Yeah.
the future growth for sure. What was it that I was going to say? Filmtopia says, I agree, content is king. What would you say is Prince? That's an interesting
Ooh.
question.
So if content is king and then consistency is queen, what is Prince? I would say interactions. A big part of mine, someone gave me advice early on. They're like, hey, man, if you want quick subscriber gains, respond to every comment. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
word? All right. So I responded to every comment, and I respond to every single Instagram message, every email. Like you said, the platform is growing, which is amazing. But something that I take pride in is still being unbelievably approachable. I'm just a normal dude, literally in a basement of my house. Before this, I was watching Luca with my family, the new Disney movie. So I want those interactions to be real. I want it to be me. We've done a Disney meetup for 2 years now, where we've had like 40 to 50 people, beardsmen, company owners that have flown in from all over the country. Some of them are in the chat right now. We've been able to hang out and meet each other. I do local meetups, and I think that's important for people to see, like, who I am right now, who I am on my live streams, on my videos. That's me, right? Who I am in my messages. That's me. I think that would probably be the next layer, the next level of personal investment, is getting to know the person that's on the other side of the YouTube channel.
Yeah. How how did you go from 0 subscribers first video to, huh, this could be like a serious monetization thing? Because now it's like all up and running,
Right.
and I think it's just a matter of like you keep the wheels turning. But what was that experience of like, oh wow, streams of income, opportunities for getting paid? Like what was that like?
Yeah, so I'm a planner. I'm a strategist, right? I didn't plan the channel, but once I got into it, I got very serious about my strategy and planning. And from day one, I said I was not going to take any money until I took money. And I was very open about that. I think it's even in my intro video. So early on, companies came with affiliates, and I said, I haven't earned that yet. I want to build that trust. I want to build that foundation first. And then eventually it got to the point where you're saying, where it's like, okay, I think we're here. I think it's enough. And that kind of came when enough companies were like, dude, stop giving this away for free. We want to pay you. We want to compensate you. You've earned this. You don't realize what you're doing for our company. You don't realize what you're doing for these viewers. We feel that you should be compensated. So me and my wife made a video. I think it's still up. And we made a video about why we now accept affiliates, why we accept a fee, and kind of broke it down. But I think to answer your question, it was companies coming to me that were like kind of shaking me, and they're like, stop giving away your services for free. No company would give away their product for free. You have to stop doing that.
Right, right. Um, so, okay, I have two more questions. And then for anyone who's in the chat, if you have questions that you want Dan to answer, make sure to format your question with a Q colon so that I can search for it. Um, Here are my last two questions. So, I am very passionate about using this passion economy business model because I really think that this is, I mean, it is the fastest growing type of small business. And I really think
I didn't
that,
know that. That's really cool.
yeah. And I think that, I think 2020 played a big part in that because people just had to, they can't do business the way we used to. So we got to go
Yeah.
online. I think a part of that is here to stay. But another cool part is traditionally brick and mortar businesses are now going to take shape on the internet. And
Mm-hmm.
we can do that because people are now one click away. So, that being said, what advice would you give to someone who wants to build a business around creating content on YouTube? I know we can go, I know we can talk about like, YouTube channel tactics and like community building, but what would you
Yeah.
just like very, three things to keep in mind?
Yeah, and a few people I'm reading the comments off to the side. There's some brilliant people in the chat right now. I cannot wait to go back and read these comments in
Yeah, I
live
have to do
time.
that too.
You got Doc and Invest and Fit. These people just throwing some bangers of comments out there. I love it. And to piggyback off those, when we brought up the comment about being niche and your passion, truly follow your passion. I believe when you do it for long enough and you do as many videos as you can for years and years, you can't fake that. You can't fake something that you really enjoy, that you really love, that you eat, sleep, and breathe. Follow your passion. No matter what it is, you can turn that into a career because the world is so connected today. If you love something, there's going to be others out there that love it. No matter how random you think it is, no matter how niche you think it is, and just dive all in with that passion. Be specific as possible. One of the things, like when I try to talk to other content creators, they use things like TubeBuddy and all these other like algorithm formats. And when I started doing that, it started plugging in like very broad terms. I'd do a video and it would say men's grooming, men's hair care, men's style. And I was like, that's not my market. That's not what I'm
Hmm.
going for. And the reason I don't use tags like that is because if I do a men's grooming video, I'm not going to show up on the first 50 results because GQ, all these other
Right.
places have all those top spots taken. Why would I waste one of my 500 characters on really broad terms like that? My videos, when I do tags, I want it as dialed into that exact video as possible. I'm not trying to clout chase and grab somebody's, I'm not tagging other channel stuff. If my video is on beard lemon water, I'm doing every iteration of beard lemon water possible. Beard
Mm.
lemon water beard, lemon beard water, wash your beard with lemons. I mean, I want to be as specific as I can possibly get. Don't fall in the trap of trying to be too broad, right? If you're going to be a
Hmm.
streamer, don't stream Minecraft because everybody's doing that. Find the new game that's coming out that no one's done yet and make that, or do tips and tricks on this, and just find your unique angle. One of the reasons why I think I have relative success in the beard community is I was unlike anybody that existed at that time. I didn't have the choice of copying someone, which is natural. Right? If you listen to comedians, when comedians start, almost all of them start by just kind of imitating their favorite comedian because they don't know otherwise. That's what they
Yeah.
like. That's what they listen to. That's what they're used to. I came out and I was very, very different. And that was a good thing that stood out to me. And kind of my biggest piece of advice that I give to all content creators and businesses is someone should be able to describe your thing, your channel, your business in one sentence. If they cannot give you a unique description in one sentence, you are failing to create that narrative. You should be able to describe my channel in one sentence that sets me apart, where someone can be like, oh, yeah, I think I do know that Dan C. Bearded, that channel. He has the educational approach. He brings his beautiful wife in, and he's got great videos from like a helping perspective. If you're somebody else, right? Oh, what's that? I know that guy's name is Tom Buck, but I can't think of what his channel name is because it doesn't really make sense to follow with his content. But he's the guy with the crazy, punny, corny dad jokes, but unbelievably relatable advice when it comes to product reviews and tech tips and tricks. That dude is just so likable, right? You should have something that is one sentence that's unique. And if you don't have that, you need to create it. You need to say it to the top of the mountain so everybody knows. Create that narrative.
Yeah, for sure. Lots of lots of good tips in this interview, Dan. So here's my last question for you. Being that content creation is a very viable type of business that anyone with any
Yep.
experience from any background can start, what tools are you using to make it all run? Obviously YouTube, but like what other tools that are kind of like your go-to tech stack?
Okay. So do you want to know like what I film with and all that stuff, or do you want to know more so how I'm building the channel on
Up to
the
you. Whatever
okay.
you want to share. Yeah.
So if you're a content creator, so I teamed up with during COVID, I teamed up with the biggest beard content creator by numbers, and his name's BeardTube, and we did a live stream of challenging people to create content. And we actually put out a challenge. They had to submit videos to us, and then we highlighted like 6 people on a big live stream because we believe that everybody has a story to tell. Everybody has some content they can create. Start off with your phone. Phones are unbelievably amazing today with the audio quality, the video quality. If you enjoy it, go from there. But you're not making any extra purchase. You're not buying a camera. You're not buying a mic. Just get in front of the camera, upload to YouTube, see how you enjoy it. From there, my biggest piece of advice, and there's a lot that disagree with me on this, and that's okay, is I believe that you should pick one platform to be your crown, to be your thing, and try to get everything else to funnel to that. Right. When I use StreamYard to stream, I can stream on Twitch, I can stream on YouTube, Facebook, all these different locations. But my money, my game is YouTube. I want all my numbers to go there. So I use Instagram to funnel people to YouTube. I use Facebook to funnel people to YouTube. And my goal is to build that platform up. I have business cards I pass out. I have a decal on my car. I'm always talking to beardsmen. And kind of the final piece with building that is don't be ashamed of what you're doing. A lot of adults start out and they feel weird that they're creating YouTube for one. They feel weird that they have low numbers. I only have 50 subscribers. Why? I'm a 30-year-old man or whatever it may be. I'm a 26-year-old woman and I have a YouTube channel
Yeah,
about cameras,
for
and
sure. It's
you
weird as
feel
heck.
weird, right? Your
Yeah.
coworkers are going to make fun of you. Your parents are going to ask you why you're doing that. Own it from the very beginning, because now those same people that laughed at me at work literally
Mm-hmm.
have beards. And you can't tell me that this didn't have some kind of impact on them when the schools asked me to speak at career day and stuff like that. Like, be proud of it, because it is a natural feeling to be kind of hesitant and weird and reserved, because there is a stigma of being a YouTuber, right?
Yep.
And
Mm-hmm.
just own it. If you're passionate about it, let people go see it and they'll be impressed. They'll think, wow, that's really cool. So just simply be proud of what you do. Don't try to hide it.
Yeah, I love I love that advice. And for me, a lot of people end up starting YouTube channels.
Yeah.
So they'll be like, "Oh, what is this YouTube thing that you're doing?" And now they have channels themselves. So,
Yes.
all right, we've got a couple more minutes with Dan. I want to be cognizant of his time. We got some more questions here from the chat. Donald Long says, "What is some of the technology or room layout adjustments that you've made to improve or grow your content?"
Oh man, everything. So as I said, when we started out in my living or in my kitchen on a wooden table, which I still have actually. And from there, I got a Rode mic, but it was the Rode Video Go, which, if you don't know, is awful. It's like the worst mic that I've ever had in my entire life. And I figured out, I think from Tom and other like minded individuals, is it was getting power from the camera. And so it's causing a hiss and background noise the entire
Yeah.
time. So I wasted money on that. And then I started to get smarter with the sound, and I put like bean bags around me. I went to the dollar store and got foam boards that I set up all around me. So I was trying. It looked ridiculous. And then I got a lighting kit. And the problem was, though, I had to set it up in the kitchen and take it down every time I filmed.
Ah, what a
And
pain.
at the time I started my channel, I had a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. And we were in the kitchen. So if they were awake, I tried to film during nap or bedtime. If they're awake, my wife would literally take them in the car and drive around our neighborhood until I was done, just so I had a quiet house.
Yeah.
Random story. We went to Disney 2 years ago in April. So just at 2.5 years ago for a meetup. We came back and our basement flooded. We had about 3 inches of water in our basement. It was a fully finished, carpeted, awesome basement. And we had to tear all the carpet out. We had to get rid of everything. And I was kind of staring at the basement. And I went to go film a video the next day in the kitchen. And I said, you know what? Let's do it. I believe in us. And from scratch, we had a contracting company come in and we built the studio that I'm in right now.
Oh, I love
Soundproof
that.
walls, soundproof ceiling. We have it all set up for my live stream. My filming is over there. I have a chalk board behind me. And I bought a camera. I bought a Canon M50, which looking back at it now is not a crazy amount of money. It was like $650. But 2 years ago, that was the world to me. That was a massive chunk of my savings. And then we got a mic. I got a Rode Video Plus Pro, changed everything. And then literally from a Tom Buck video, this purple light that's behind me, he had one of the tube lights. And I was like, that's amazing. And I looked it up and it was way too much money. So I went to Amazon and bought a $50 wand light. And now I have color in the background of my videos. It makes my thumbnails pop. That was a huge change by just watching a Tom video and getting a tube light to change the background. It was awesome. And then from there, I now have like this arm organization thing that I've seen you and Tom both cover, where I have my camera on it. I've got like storage on it, got my mic over here. I upgraded my live stream mic. I just got a Blue Yeti microphone. So it's just been natural growth as I've gone through.
Yeah, I love that because, obviously one of the questions that we get is like, what do I need to start? And I definitely think, start with what you have, upgrade
Yep.
as you go. Because, like you said, Tom can use he can use the tube light. You've got whatever you can find and it looks
Yeah.
fantastic. So it's
Thank you.
awesome. Desert Cornhole says, how long were you creating content before things took off? And did you ever feel like quitting or it just wasn't going to work?
Okay. So to answer the second part, no. I've never once thought I was going to quit. I've never once doubted myself. And this is kind of polarizing. Some people hate me for it. Some people understand me, but I don't worry about people being uncomfortable when I'm being myself. I think I popped out of the womb confident and believing in myself. No matter what I do, if I do it, I'm all in, right? You're never going to see me enter American Idol because I can't sing. I'm terrible. You're never going to see me enter a coloring contest because I can't color. But when I do something, I do believe in myself and I go all in on it. So I've never doubted myself. I never thought of quitting because when I started, I didn't do it to make money. I thought the potential was there. I thought I was going to be, again, 1 million subscribers, and I still do. But I didn't start it to make money, which I think some people do, and then they get burned out because they don't see the
Mm-hmm.
numbers. I
Mm-hmm.
started it because my wife said I would be good at it. And numbers don't dictate if you're good at something. The content dictates if you're good at something. And so as I went through, it was going really, really well. It was slow as slow can be. When people see the channel now, they don't see the first 6 months.
Yeah.
When I think at the 6-month mark, I had 300 subscribers. And so that was super slow. And then, so I started in July, right? Beards are seasonal. Right now is the worst ever season for beards because guys,
Oh,
they shave off their beards during the
because it's
summer.
hot. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's hot. Then the fall comes around, they start growing out their fall beard. Then No Shave November comes on, and 1 million people start coming in. And then the
Mm.
holidays in the winter, wives start coming on and looking for products. It starts blowing up. So my channel
Oh,
started
how
in the worst ever
interesting.
month and was slow. And then it got to November. I'm like, okay. And then it got to December. I was like, whoa, all right, we got something here. And it started to pick up. So for me, it was about 6 months in, but it was very seasonal. If I would have started in December, I don't know what that trajectory would have looked like.
Yeah. How crazy. What a crazy
It
thing.
is.
Um, I have a lot of follow-up questions, but I know we're running out of time, so I want to make sure
Oh,
that we get to.
hey, I know you have time, but I have all the time in the world. I love this stuff. So don't rush for me, honestly.
Okay, Filmtopia says, at what point in your growth did you make a subtle change that bumped up your efficiency and productivity? For example, hiring a designer, building templates, getting an assistant, etc., etc. That's a really good
Great
question.
question. Great question. So this is something I struggle with. I've dabbled with hiring someone to do my thumbnails. I didn't like it. Didn't fit my style. I dabbled with somebody editing, and I'm a control freak and I didn't like it. It didn't fit my style. A huge moment for me was a year and a half ago. I created a Facebook group dedicated to beards. We have 6,000 private members, very active members as well. And I was doing Instagram, doing all these things, but I started it with my best friend, the mayor. And I wanted to create a stream of income for him. My goal is for the mayor and then a small group, my small circle, for us all to retire within the next 7 years. I want all of us to do this together full time. And I, within the last like 6 months, have completely released all the reins to him on the Facebook group, and he gets all of the income from the group. I get benefits from the channel, of course, bringing in new people, direct links, exposure, but I've really gotten better at delegating and trusting and being okay with that. And he's done so much more and so much better of a job than I ever could have dreamed of or imagined. And it's helped out not only the Facebook platform, but it's helped out my channel immensely. That was an absolute game changer when it came to my channel, was putting trust in my best friend to run that platform.
Okay, sorry, I have other questions.
Yes, no, please bring them on, bring them on.
Okay, so if you guys have questions, just again, Q colon if you want to get them in here. What do you think in terms of the YouTube landscape has changed since 2018? Like, I think because this is what the whole show is, that
Yeah.
I'm noticing a trend. So, what are you seeing on your end in terms of the creator side,
Yeah, so I think
or
there's
even like
two.
consumer behavior side?
Right.
Right?
I think
Yeah.
there's definitely two sides that I get to see. One is the overall YouTube game, and then the other is the very specific beard niche. And I'll start with the beard niche first. When I started 3 years ago, I did not invent beard channels. I did not invent the beard niche, but the pool, the community of creators was teeny tiny. You could name on a hand 5 or less creators in 2018, literally 5 or less. Now there's at least 50 to 100 like established, well-known creators, many of them in the chat right now, that are doing amazing things, that are doing unique things. And there's good and bad to that. When you have all those creators, they're bringing in people that would have never known about this community. And if they bring them in, they're probably going to find me eventually, which is awesome. But at the same time, it's so much different. It's so much harder to stand out, to get kind of notoriety, to work with companies. There's just so much more, many more people. And I think that kind of mimics YouTube, right? Several years ago, if you were early to market, you had such a big advantage. It was a huge aspect of being early, right? I think that's why people hop on these new social media platforms so early, because they want to be the person that's
First.
known for that platform.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be the Gary V of this next thing. They want to be the person that's going to take off. And I think YouTube has become so big in the last 3 years. Think about how many people have gotten rid of cable and solely watch YouTube. That has become their content. That has become their daily news. That's become their live stream entertainment. Think about during COVID when people weren't going out to socialize and they went to YouTube instead. So I think just the market has just grown immensely. And on the consumer side, how many people go to YouTube for a product review before buying anything now, when that didn't exist really 3, 4, 5 years ago? If I'm going to buy a camera, you're sure as heck know that I'm going to check with my 3 or 4 trusted camera people that I'm going to go to, right? If I'm going to check out a computer, there's a couple people where I'm going to go watch their reviews before I even consider buying a computer. And that, I think, is brand new, and I don't think it's going anywhere. If anything, I think it's going to get deeper and more interwoven into society. Just like when you go to buy Amazon, everybody reads the reviews.
Mm-hmm.
I think the same thing is going to happen with YouTube on just a huge scale.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is why in this, right? Because
Yep.
I think like I just noticed it's funny to me that I still meet people that are like, oh, like they're just, it's almost like they're just discovering YouTube for the first time.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's like it's such a big part of my life. I can't believe that,
And
because
they're
we
on
have
the
all.
flip side. There are older people that I will meet that are fully into YouTube. Recently, there were two people. One, I met this old guy who's 87 years old, and he was like, I gotta be honest with you, all I watch is YouTube now. He said, Tim Allen? I said, yeah. He goes, he's got an amazing show, and I watched this show and woodworking. And then another guy, same thing. He was old as can be. To give you an example of how old he is, I sold him my tractor, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm from up in Michigan." I said, "Oh, my parents live in this city." And he was like, "I'm from there. Do you know Jason on the corner of on this?" I'm like, "No, I don't know Jason on the corner of that street." And he said he only watches YouTube, and he's got a couple content creators that he loves. These guys were in their 80s. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. See, and so that's a trend that I'm seeing for sure is the archetype of what a YouTube creator looks like, acts like,
Mm,
makes content about. That style
yeah.
is just it's it doesn't exist almost because it is so diversified.
The
And
spectrum.
yeah, it's totally different. And I think that, you don't need this huge base, like this huge audience, especially if you're going to take the approach that you do, Dan, with, there's such a sense of trust that permeates all levels of your channel, not only from you as a content creator with your community members, but then you as a content creator and the beard companies that, like, honestly, there would be no beard culture without these products, right? So it's like
Correct.
you're kind of bringing the platform that brings all them together. And I think that we don't I think the optimistic thing about this whole thing is that you don't need just these crazy numbers. It's awesome, and I can't wait until you do get the gold play
Yeah.
button, and I will definitely be
No,
there to celebrate.
and I agree because it is tough because like I think when casual people think of YouTube, they think of the big numbers, right? When it comes to mind, everybody when you bring up YouTube brings up Mr. Beast, and so they see his numbers, they know dude perfect, and you see these big numbers, and then you say something like 45,000, and some people may think that's small. But if you take a look into my niche, right, 45,000 is a huge number. So it's all relative. But even if you just take a step back and you think about, man, think about a sporting arena. And if there were
Right.
45,000 people in a sporting arena, oh my goodness gracious, that's a lot of humans.
That's insane. Yeah, that's totally crazy. What's next? Do you have? I know you have your whole long list of video ideas, but like, what's next for the Dancy Bearded brand and
Yeah.
community? Where do you see your channel going? What can we
Yeah.
look
So
forward to?
I have huge plans, and some of them are already in motion. And I'm very, very serious about these plans. People doubt me until they see it, and I'm big into. Hey, I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to speak it into existence. I'm not going to back down. I set lofty goals, and I take pride in achieving them. I saw a really good question that'll kind of piggyback off this. It Coffee Talk and Text said, "Where'd you get your drive from, and who influenced it?" Uh, I really believe I'm unique in that aspect. Me and my wife are polar opposites. We're very different people, but I just go. I can't stop. I don't take naps. I'm too attached to making things happen. I don't sleep that much. I just love to work, and I know that's not good. I know you should sleep. I know you should do all those things, but I just go, right? When I take a shower, I have to play a podcast because if I don't, my mind doesn't stop. I go crazy because my mind is just spinning and going and going. And I probably got this drive from my dad. He was a truck driver for Frito-Lay for 30 years, never had a college credit, worked his butt off his entire life. I saw hard work by watching him, not listening. He never preached to me. He never told me about that. I just saw him leave for work every day at 4 a.m. I saw him work his butt off and then love his family, work his way up Frito-Lay with no college credits to a very great position. And with that drive, in 7 years, I got a 10-year goal. Within 7 years, like I said, I would like to be, and I don't think I've said this publicly anywhere, and I love teaching, but I think I love content creation as my future a little bit more, is I want to be retired. I want my close circle that are also teachers surrounding me. I want them to be retired, and I want to build an entire platform and kind of springboarding off the community, off the support, off the trust that's built here. And I would love to have a daily show type channel. I have some inspirations that I really draw from and love. One of my favorites is the Pat McAfee podcast, if anybody's checked that out. He was a punter for the Indianapolis Colts, and he quit when he was an all-pro punter. He was at the top of his game, and he has my favorite video in internet history where he's clipped all the sportscasters saying, "You are crazy. Make them take the jersey off your back. What are you doing? You are leaving millions." And he quit to create his podcast. And he believed in himself so much, and what he did was he built his podcast with his childhood best friends and his brother. So he has his buddy running the tables. He has his friend reaching out to people to book. He's got his other one running the phone lines, and they all do it together. And he's got a video called Bringing the Boys the Bag, where he signs a deal with DraftKings, and he drops off a $50,000 bag to all of his friends that run the show just to say thank you. And that's what I want. I want to have a show that is going to be where people tune into to talk about manly things, to talk about beards, to talk about life, to talk about, I'm very open on the channel, right? My wife is, we've had 3 kids. She suffered from postpartum depression, and I've never suffered through depression. So I learned through her, and I talk about it openly. And then people come to me and tell me about their experience. And then they tell me about their PTSD that they're going through. And then they tell me about their addictions that they're going through. I would love to build a platform where people can come and just relate and talk about those things. And I think it has the potential to be huge. I think it has a spot similar to a Pat McAfee show. I love Sean Evans, the host of Hot Ones, who interviews people. His style is amazing. So there's a couple of these channels that I really, really draw from, and I see the potential there. And I do believe that I'm going to create that at about 10 years from now.
I don't think it's going to take that long, man.
Thank you.
Honestly, I really don't. And I love that, because your vision, I know, is coming from somewhere, right? And I think that this is your data, this is your experience, this is what you're seeing working, what's resonating. And the fact that it is so people driven, it's so human driven, it's so community driven is just so exciting to me. Like, I just love that that's your goal. And I think a really great, insight into what's possible on YouTube, guys. So if you haven't gotten your daily dose of inspiration, restart this particular interview, because there were so many great takeaways. Dan, where can people find you?
Dan C. Bearded. YouTube is primary, and Instagram is my secondary. Instagram is kind of my main method of communication and really kind of showing my other sides of life. I show my family. I show my hobbies. I love Blackstone griddle grilling. Don't get mad at me, charcoal people. I love my griddle. So main things would be YouTube on Dan C. Bearded and Instagram Dan C. Bearded.
I have a feeling that we are going to see some beards come up in the next 6 months here from the people who are in the chat. This is so funny. But Dan, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being a guest on the show and for sharing like so many great takeaways. I just want to say, I know you're proud of yourself. I'm super proud of you. It's just like so cool to be part of this community with you. I mean, I think that's how we met, was through Tom, right? Yeah. And he said you were a teacher, and that you guys are both in public education. So it's super cool. And I think that, I know Thomas said this before, if you can do public education and a YouTube channel, like anybody could do it too. Because, I know balancing family and career and YouTube is hard, but here's another example of someone who is killing it. So thanks again, Dan. I so appreciate it. With that said, guys, we are done. So one announcement that I do want to say is I'm actually going live with JP High Tech Reviews today at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So go ahead and head on over there. We're going to be talking about content creation and finding inspiration. Dan was like a huge source of inspiration for me today. But yeah, and with that said, we will check you guys out next week. Thanks for watching, and take care, everyone. Bye.